Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what? I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people, right? You want people to care. You want to strike emotions, and I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese in France, Mickey? What? Boy, ale with cheese, Mickey. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice up my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, and welcome to Superhero Speak. I'm your host, Dave.
And I'm John.
And I'm Random Randy Savage.
Yes, that's right, boys and girls. This week, our good friend JD is not with us. We'll just say that he's on assignment. And our good friend, Random Randy Savage from the Cult 45 podcast, has agreed to fill in for the missing JD. So thank you for being here, Randy.
You're welcome. Whenever one needs a shit dick done, just call me up. I'll definitely dig that shit dick.
It's a complete mystery to me as to what your opinion's going to be on the movie. Just no idea what's.
I don't know.
Could be anything. Could
be wildly outrageous.
Well, before we get to all that, how are you doing, Randy? What's new in your world?
Nothing much. I work, I sleep, I watch movies occasionally. We were in the process of gonna go do this movie, and then meh.
Not even gonna do it for Patreon?
Nah. I think we're trying to save money because we're working on going to HNIC Con, which is a thing that we're going to be promoting soon. Mm-hmm. So, but no, yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'm chatting with a nice girl online, but other than that, that's it.
Oh, you're still in the chatting phase. Isn't that
I'm
sweet?
going to stay there. Just it's fine. Every time I accelerate things, it always gets worse.
Speaking of things getting worse, how are you, John?
Meh.
Meh?
I'm doing okay. I'm still in my death march. I'm getting used to 10, 12-hour days and working on weekends. Up until we started started recording. I'm working on a patch for a security issue. It's what?
Aren't you at home?
Yes. Well, I've been working from home for 2 years, but
okay. I was like, they're not going to build a statue for you. Go stay home.
No, yeah, I know, right?
Come on. Capitalism runs on blood and money. That's all it is. And it's like, if you don't give it money, it's going to take your blood.
Yeah. Funny thing is, next week we start going back to work. Going back to work, going back to the office. 2 days a week we're starting with, just to see.
But it's funny because John and I are both developers, and unfortunately that means they're really taking advantage of us working from home like this, because we're just sitting in front of a computer. So 8 hours, 12 hours, what's the difference, right?
Yeah, but they have leases on those buildings, so they got to have somebody in them.
Yeah.
True. Well, actually,
they could turn it into a Jamba Juice, I guess, but who'd run it?
a lot of places are getting rid of their brick and mortars now because they realize that they can save the money. But my place, they can't, because it's also a data center. So
I don't remember what company it was, but there was a company in New York I just recently read about where they got rid of their Manhattan office, and they created a smaller satellite office in New Jersey and told most of their employees they now work from home, and there's only a handful that have to go to the satellite office because it's a lot cheaper. So
I mean, hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
Well, even for my company, they're being.
But then I feel like people still get trapped in that I can't leave work because my house is work.
Oh yeah. Well, no,
So exactly.
Like Dave was saying, they take advantage of us. It's because everybody's got a good setup now. You'll get a ping at 6 at night. It's like, hey, could you take a look at this for me? It's like, but it's like the idea is I am no longer working, and yet they're like, but you're 2 steps from your computer. Could you just do this for us? And they just they roll that on you, you know.
That requires separate phone lines. Then it's like, I don't know, call me at this number after 6. I don't exist anymore.
Exactly.
I wake up tomorrow morning, I rematerialize and I can work now. But after a certain time, I don't exist for you. Like, come on.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I've been on a big like social kick, like between Amazon doing that union thing, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, this guy on Instagram that I'm fighting because he's like, I don't know whether he has Jeff Bezos' genitals in his mouth or like he just really, really wants Jeff Bezos' genitals in his mouth. But I
don't know anybody that wants that.
He's just so into like capitalism's awesome. And I'm like, yeah, for some, not for everyone though. It's kind of garbage for everyone.
Yeah, you say,
or you know, maybe it's just me.
Well, no, you say that, but they have it on film. I just saw this like about an hour ago. They have it on film where they got a video from one of those Russian oligarchs on his super yacht.
Yeah,
and even in the video, he was like, he was saying, yeah, if they found out what it was like being on one of these yachts, they would reinstitute the guillotine.
I mean, I'm all for it. Why not?
Me too. Eat the rich.
Come on. Super Bowl Sunday, line them up. Yeah. NBC would play it.
I don't think.
Brought to you by Ace Hardware.
Nobody needs a yacht that's 5 football fields long. I mean,
nobody.
With 2 pools in it.
I don't understand why you like. How can you support this? They worked hard for that money. It's like nobody works that hard for that money. It's impossible.
So
it's like the Flash. The Flash doesn't work for Amazon. People do.
Yeah.
No one needs that yacht, but I mean, come on. We all want the yacht.
No, we don't.
I don't want a yacht. You know what I want? I want the ability to call an ambulance without having to worry about how much it's going to cost. You know what I want?
Straight.
You know what I want? I want to have enough. I don't have to worry about my bank account. If I order guacamole, it won't matter what happens to my bank account. I won't get charged $45 for it.
You know what else?
You know what else I want? I want my kid to be able to go to college and do whatever the fuck he wants for zero money. And he wants to go out and make video games and do nothing with it. Perfect.
Everyone, welcome to Randy's Soapbox.
Randy, you know what else you want?
Sorry. All right, I'll get off.
No. Randy, one more thing. Randy, you know what else you want? You want to know that when you get sick, it won't bankrupt you.
That too.
Whatever happens to you, you can go to your doctor and not.
I'm still paying off $17,000 for a kidney stone.
And in Canada, that'd probably be $200, and it's capped for the year.
Well, I'll tell you.
You know what else is cool? Moon Knight. Let's move on.
All right.
Let's send Moon Knight out.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, Dave. How was your life?
Oh, my life's good. I can't complain too much.
Yeah, how is
no, not anymore. We did all the complaining part. We're done with that now.
How are you down there at the base of our soapbox?
Seriously.
Hey, I realized that I'm a lucky man. I have a girl that, like, she said, we were talking about, she went to see this movie with me, which we'll get into in a little bit, Morbius. But then she was like, oh, isn't there another one coming out, Doctor Strange? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, I think I like the first one. Let's watch it. So we watched that, and then we went and saw Morbius. So
why would you do that? That's not fair. That's not fair.
I'm saying it's nice to have a girl that's willing to do that with me. So
it's nice to have a girl, period. Just leave it at that.
You're so humble bragging.
I know. It's so nice to have a woman. You lonely bastards.
There's always internet porn, guys. There's always internet porn.
But after a while, it just gets really stale, and you like and then what's weird about it is if you dig deep enough, you start knowing about their personalities, and it's like, I don't even like you. Like, or you like them too much. Like Danny Daniels, she's like really cool and she loves Harry Potter, and I can't watch you get that done to you anymore. I'm sorry. No, that is not happening. When I'm going to think about you going back in your Hufflepuff outfit, no, that's not happening. Come on, bro. Ugh. You're a person now. You're not a sexual object I can objectify. Come on.
I've never gotten deep into it, so I guess
I know, right? It gets deep.
I'm a very surface level kind of guy.
And like sometimes they have mental issues and I feel bad about it, or they kill themselves. Oh my God. Ugh. And it's not the same anymore. It's bad. I don't go back to her. Hey, Moon Knight.
Speaking of mental issues, Moon Knight.
Oh, I thought you were going to transfer back to me. Never mind. Okay.
All right. So Moon Knight came out this week, the first premiere episode on Wednesday, and I'm sure we all watched it, right, John?
Yep.
Watching it right now. It's great.
What did
it's really funny at 3x, you know?
Yeah, I bet it is actually.
3x Moon Knight? Wait a minute.
Yeah, at 3
is that
times.
The Moon tonight?
No.
Yes. I got a joke. Okay.
Thanks for getting it for Dave. Yeah.
So what did we think? Oscar Isaac stars as Moon Knight with the superhero with mental issues?
I mean, Oscar Isaac could read the phone book and it'd still be interesting to listen to. I mean, I don't think I've seen him in something bad. Like now I think about it, but I can look it up and try to find something. But this one, I was kind of expecting it to be like crazy, and I got a lot of crazy, and I was into it. I was digging it.
A little bit of a different take on the Venom thing, right? Like, you know, his whole thing is multiple personality. Venom isn't supposed to be a little bit like that, but the thing is like this is I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised by it. I wasn't sure going in, but then again, I'd never read Moon Knight when it came out. I was never a fan, so wasn't sure what to expect. And it's because everybody kept telling me, oh, it's like Marvel's Batman. This is Marvel's Batman.
Oh, it's Marvel. It's Marvel's Crazy Jane. But,
yeah,
but it's like, and then that's an even more obscure reference, so that's not good for anyone. But
it's more low-key Legion, you know?
Yes.
But
Legion's like that? I didn't know that. I want to watch Legion now. Okay.
Oh, Legion. That Legion takes that and then dials it up to 1,011.
So like the 3 Moonlight books that I've actually read, one is the Moon Knight Detective that we're going to see later, and one is like Moon Knight versus Moon God versus Sun God, which I think was what we're leading towards.
Yeah.
And then there was the one where Brian Bendis wrote that was like he was being shadowed by Wolverine, Captain America, and Spider-Man, and like he could take their personalities and their skill sets while he was fighting. And I was like, that's the one I want. That one. Do that one.
That's season 3, I think.
Yeah. And I was hoping what I'm hoping is every episode a new director takes over and changes everything like they do with Moon Knight, because that's what
I don't know about that.
Every time that Moon Knight gets a new comic series, it's written and drawn in a different way, so it kind of like nothing is continuity, but it's all continuity, and it's like it all makes sense, but it doesn't make sense because his brain's all messed up.
See, that would work with Legion because, you know, there's like no limit to the craziness there. But there's got to be some, you know, common threads through. I can see this going. This could definitely, like, I'm sure they have a plan to bring Moon Knight up into the movies. You know, have him show off there a couple of times maybe. But I could see this going a few seasons. This, you know, WandaVision, like it told a story. It was done. This. Yeah. And Loki, you know, they could have a couple more. This more even so than Loki. Because Loki has to end at phase 6 when they do the big bad, or phase 7 whenever they get rid of Kang. Loki.
Yeah. Or, you know, if they can get rid of Kang.
But like I own 2 Moon Knight comics, and I think he's in probably a couple different stories of other books that I own. But like, so I didn't know what to expect going in, and I'm loving this. I love that, like, I still don't know what's really going on yet. You know, like don't like WandaVision, don't show me everything right away. Like have me guessing and trying to figure this out as it goes along. So it's really good, I think. I can't wait to keep going. I mean, and then the reveal at the end, so John, you were right. It was a werewolf legs.
Yeah, but it wasn't Werewolf by Night. I was hoping, but it turned out to
coming later.
Yeah, it was a jackal person, Anubis style. So
yes. But he beats the garbage out of it and then walks off camera, and then that's where it ends, and it's like perfect.
Yeah, that scene was fun. The thing runs into to eat his face, and then suddenly it's the thing trying to get the hell out.
Yeah.
So
Moon Knight's crazy. No.
So as I understand it, originally Moon Knight didn't have any special powers. He was just, as all Marvel normal humans are, peak physical. But in this, beating a jackal person like that, no, he's got a little bit superhuman strength there and probably durability as well.
Yeah.
I think they're playing it like that. Not a lot, but enough.
I think he's gonna be like Ghost Rider, where he's kind of possessed by the spirit of the Kanush. I think that's how you say it. Kanush.
Yeah.
And like he's gonna, whenever he's in that role, that the guy who's gonna step into the shoes, Mark, he's the guy who's gonna be in charge. But then eventually you're gonna have other characters who have more skills, more detective based, more driving based, more like.
He only has 3 normally, right?
Well, but Steven's he's still very knowledgeable of Egyptian artifacts,
right?
For some odd reason. So,
yep. Which is a better thing than just being rich, because that would draw too many parallels with Batman.
No, yeah,
but no, it's good. I like it. I can't wait to see where it goes.
One of them is a movie star, so it's like he'll get there.
Yeah,
that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for Echo to show up, because that'll make my heart happy.
Let's see. I'm just abilities: expert detective, proficient in martial arts, utilizes high tech equipment, mystical visions. So.
Yeah, and initially he had like a moon plane and everything, but I think
did at one point he did have increased strength, speed, and endurance.
Yep. Yeah, that came later. Like I think he's
no, like
more like that now.
Like Randy's right. Like his alter ego changes.
Yeah, so his skill set changes.
Right.
Well, he's had, from what I read, he had 3, and we've already seen. Actually, we've technically already seen 3 because the guy, the mime. The guy the statue guy that he was talking to, just they're talking at the one in gold, like that guy looks a lot like his other persona, the one that was the guy on the street, running with the thugs so he could get information on all of them. So, that was supposed to be one of his personas, or maybe he was sitting there talking to nothing, and that was his persona in his head. Who knows? Because a lot of the stuff that we're seeing doesn't make sense, like the elevator scene. That was all over the place, but that's okay because we have, and JD would have said this, we have the unreliable narrator.
Right.
So, like if you watch any Legion episodes, you never know what the hell is real or not. Like it's just a trip every time. So in this, you got a little bit of that too. See, you may see something and later on turns out to be, no, that wasn't the case. So maybe he's got all 3 of his personalities already that are fairly well defined.
Well, I mean, it's different. It's not different personalities. It's different people that take on the Moon Knight.
Yeah, because he has DID, dissociative identity disorder. So literally, he's different people in his own brain, and just like Crazy Jane, if you watch Doom Patrol, somebody's in the driver's seat, the other guy's in the back seat. Right. But every once in a while, whoever takes the driver's seat, that guy goes in the back seat and doesn't remember or even acknowledge what happens afterward. And some of them are talkative and some of them are not. But it's like each, depending on what storyline is written, sometimes like their brains will do different things.
That's what I'm saying though. He had 3 of those, and then the actual Moon Knight. So like it was the rich guy, the mercenary who was like the original personality, and then there was the guy on the street. Those were his 3 personalities, and then there was the Moon Knight persona. But now and if that gold mime is a separate person, I don't know how they're working it, or maybe he's not, and
or just a dude
that was in his head too. But it looked a lot like his personality. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. This was a good start. I'm happy with it.
Yeah. So thumbs up from all of us. We're gonna keep watching.
Keep watching.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Episode 4 is gonna get real weird, I'm sure.
Isn't that how it normally goes?
I always wait till episode 4 when everything gets kind of more explained or things get more intense, because it seems like, as JD said it multiple times, a lot of these Marvel things, they build themselves. They're like written like hour-long movies, but usually around episode 4, there's something like that's building a climactic series. Like, oh no! And now with like Hawkeye and Moon Knight being 6 episodes, it really kind of shuts it down a bit. So we're going to be doing the waiting game until episode 4 is like, oh, that I didn't expect that to happen. And I'm like, oh, there it is. But like, we kind of guessed it by now because we've been in this for like 12 years doing the Marvel thing.
Exactly. All right. And John, I only have one thing for Social Media Madness.
Oh, great.
And I forgot to include it in the email, but
I thought we had a reprieve. Okay.
Nah, it was just me.
It's just I'm contractually obligated to include tweets like this. So of course we talked about Paul Dano is going to be writing a Riddler prequel comic, and to which Timothy Jones said maybe he'll write about where he got all the duct tape.
Amazon.
So thanks for that, Tim. And of course, if you like that humor, check out Sour Grapes, available in finer newspapers across the country. Sorry. And on that note, here's our good friend D Squared to tell you how you can follow us on social media and be part of Social Media Madness.
Enjoying the show? Want to be part of Social Media Madness? Make sure you are following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the show's social media links at the top of the page. While you're there, you can check out old episodes of the podcast as well as some other great content. Check the site often because we are posting some great comic reviews as well as comic book and movie news content every day. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. You can follow them at @stars_geek. The Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for #GWAllStars. You will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
All right. Thanks for that, Don. And don't forget to check out the Omega Level Nerds podcast, available on YouTube and wherever podcasts are available. And while you're here, Randy, why don't you tell the good folks where they can find Cult 45?
Let's see. I'm Randy Savage at Cult 45 Podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Cult 45 Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube and Twitch for sexy video content. We are on all your major podcasting apps. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, PodMe, and the back door. But our host site is Podbean, where they love us. And if you want more of us, you can come to patreon.com/Cult45Podcast and get an extra episode for $1. Or for $3, you can torture us and make us watch Blue is the Warmest Color, or The War Room, or what was that other one that was like hot
How about
garbage?
Just the room? How
The
about just
Breakfast of Champions, which we could not find.
What about?
We're not doing Stargate.
The movie?
Yes, that's my Patreon pick, and they're refusing to do it.
The movie was okay, though.
I know, but I just refuse.
Oh.
Out of spite more than anything else. I actually like that director and the TV show he created after Stargate, not SG1 Leverage, but yeah.
You'll eventually have to do it.
Eventually, if Comicpalooza gets Eric Navari to come back to our little section of town again, we're gonna do it. We'll just do it that way. Well, I'll leave it to somebody else. How about that?
And don't you get a cool little button? I got a cool little button.
You get a cool little button.
It says Cult 45.
And a sticker.
And a sticker, yes. So while everyone listening goes to Patreon and signs up to listen to Cult 45, we're going to take our first commercial break, and we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, we're back. We got a little bit of news to talk about this week. The first one I included because we keep talking about this movie, and I don't think it's ever going to happen.
The Flash? Yeah, that's never going to happen.
No, that's a couple stories down.
Oh, okay.
Bill Skarsgård has been signed on to star in the Crow reboot from Rupert Sanders. So
I would have rather seen Stellan Skarsgård as that.
I mean, this
or
is
how
a
about
project.
Alexander Skarsgård? How many Skarsgård are there?
There's a lot of Skarsgårds. There's a whole family, right?
An active Skarsgård.
He's coming off of playing Pennywise in but you know how many actors and directors have been attached to this project over the last 20 years? Like,
Well,
I'll believe it when I see a preview.
It's cursed. This thing is cursed.
Yeah.
You think so?
Just leave it on the ground. It's fine. Don't touch it. Don't.
I don't know why you'd want to, like, why reboot it? I mean, like, I know why they were, because money. That's why.
Because it's money. Money.
But you know,
and it's a superhero that's not tied to any one of the major two. So come on, superhero movie that's real popular with some people or another.
Sure. Let's remind everybody that Brandon Lee died tragically on set.
I don't remember that part. That was years ago. That happened when I was young. And I'm an old man now.
And also that whole premise for that movie and for that storyline, that's all 90s, man. You cannot separate that from 90s. You know, that requires a special level of angst that you could only find in the 90s when everything was dark.
I feel like a lot of the 90s stuff was added for the movie, whereas, like, if you read the book, it's not very 90s. It's, you know, a little more timeless. But also the book is very artsy compared to the movie. In the, like, it doesn't feel like a straightforward timeline. It's more just kind of like vignettes of things that he does to the gang members that killed his wife. But yeah,
I don't know. I feel like that storyline could work if you just added more violence or make it, or, you know, like possession seems to still work in this day and age. And like, if people are okay to watch those movies, so make it more of a horror based kind of thing where it's like, oh, we killed him and his wife and we're sure they're dead. There's no way they're ever going to come back. And then don't show him at all, but have them die in gruesome ways. And then just a bird sitting outside.
That's actually not a bad idea.
For like, and then like every once in, and then as the killings get more intense, birds keep showing up and a dark figure comes in closer and closer. So
right.
Something is happening.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Saying reboot. Done. You don't even need Jason Momoa for that. You could use Pennywise.
That's right. Jason Momoa was the last one that was attached to do it that I remember. And that wasn't even long ago. We talked about that. Oh my God.
I know. And I was like, I would watch that, but I would rather watch Jason Momoa do Lobo. That would be more fun to watch.
Hell, that thing's this movie's been around so long that even Stellan Skarsgård was attached to it. They just switched Skarsgårds because he got too old for it.
So,
oh, that was bad, John.
Next thing you know, they'll offer it to Alexander Skarsgård because, you know.
That's right.
Oh, man. Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm telling you, when you have a number of Skarsgårds together, it's called an act of Skarsgårds because they all are enacting, apparently.
Deadpool 2. Oh, okay.
All right. Moving on.
Sorry, I was looking up Bill Skarsgård's stuff and I was like, oh, he's in Deadpool 2. Like,
yep.
So apparently, by the time this article was posted, they changed it. But did they? I don't know. Marvel kind of confirmed that the Matt Murdock that we saw in No Way Home is the same Matt Murdock from the Daredevil TV show, and it's all been part of the MCU all along. And how they did this is there was an online bio on their website for Matt Murdock for the TV version, and then they added a paragraph to it that says included the No Way Home stuff. And apparently that's been taken down since, but I don't know.
Whatever.
But it makes sense because there was kind of a tacit corroboration of this. I saw another article talking about Iron Fist, and there's talks. The rumor is that they want to bring the actor for Danny Rand back in, but only bring him in for a little bit and then hand off the Iron Fist power to the woman.
Yes.
And that's and then
shut up and take my money.
Yeah, and then Danny Rand goes away because we already have Shang-Chi and that's it. You know,
shut up and take all my money. Yes. Bring back Colin Wynn. Yes.
I know, right? She's awesome.
The only thing I wanted to say from that universe was like, if I had my choice, it was going to be the Daughters of the Dragon. That was it. That was all I wanted.
Wouldn't it be fun to see her and Shang-Chi fighting together? I mean,
it would be awesome to see the Daughters of the Dragon played out with Shang-Chi as a big giant trio of kick-ass martial artists fighting wrongs and like punching people with metal arms and mystic swords. It would be awesome. But
nice.
I don't understand who was in question that Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, or Jessica Jones were not canon. They were always canon, because as soon as the multiverse started breaking up with Kane and Loki, it was all canon. Everything is canon now.
That's
from
true.
beyond time.
They can't even say that it's not canon, because there's always a universe where that's going to have happened. So
yes, so in the multiverse theory, it's all canon. It's all the same.
Well,
thing.
the thing is that it's is it in like Earth 616? What Earth is this? I forget which Earth the MCU is now, but
617, just slightly over.
No, it's something like 10. It's actually something like 1027. It's like a 4-digit number.
But the thing is, were they part of this? And I guess, again, remembering an article that I can't remember which one, it was basically, the history that you saw on Netflix may have been another universe, but the MCU, the history is almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
So
plus, his dad fought Creel, the absorbing man, who was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., who with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon. So it's like they talk about Thor, they have their event, or the thing they won't talk about. Like, come on, we know it was the Avengers. They showed up and ruined everything. That's what happens. They do that. Sorry. At least your city's still in one piece.
I think they should have made Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. what was going through Coulson's brain as he was dying.
Which time?
The first time. Make that just, and then
it was all like St. Elsewhere?
Yes.
No, God, no, please.
No. I like that show. I'd have hated that ending.
What was the other one that did that? Dynasty, one of the really old ones, and they made a whole season, a dream sequence, because
Newhart, he wakes up in the bed.
Doesn't Breaking Bad end like that? Or was that like just a joke that I saw? Because
I think that was just a joke.
I remember him and like Lois were sitting in bed, and they're like, "What happened?" Oh, it was a terrible nightmare, and I was a drug dealer.
No, like Lost, when it was all in purgatory.
That was stupid. That was really, really, really bad ideas.
Yes, we like really bad ideas.
Speaking of bad ideas,
here we go.
Speaking of really, really bad ideas.
So our good friend Ezra Miller, the Flash, in the
it's not my friend.
Nah, it's not.
It's not my friend.
From what I hear, he's not very friendly unless
apparently has gotten arrested again.
Oh,
in Hawaii at a karaoke bar.
I am so surprised.
Whoa, shocking.
Yay.
What are we going to do?
I think he might.
I know.
Guys, I think he might have a problem with alcohol.
What?
I think he can't handle alcohol. That's my guess. Is because every time he gets arrested, he's like at a bar.
An actor has a problem with substance? How rare a time this is.
Since when does that ever happen?
Has never happened in the history of ever.
It's funny. He chokes a woman on camera next to a bar, in back of a bar, and they decide, let's make another movie with this man. Even though we're splitting off all the other movies into, make whatever you want. It doesn't matter who plays what superhero anymore. They decide, let's go all out and do Flashpoint with this guy who we know is going to do other bad things. I mean, come on. I mean, it's like they're actively trying to sabotage. They're trying to actively sabotage their own movies. They're not even trying.
Yeah. DC's giving up on everything. They're like, oh, we're done making movies. Why not?
Or they've gone full evil villain here, and it's like, well, the more bad things he does, the more people will go see these movies, because any word of mouth is good word of mouth these days.
Ew, no,
I wouldn't put it past the WB guys the guys who own DC now. I wouldn't put it past them. No bad idea has been off the table for them, apparently.
Must be nice, I guess.
So
jeez.
Yeah.
So I find this interesting for two reasons. Number one, the whole the characters that Ezra Miller plays, and most of the stuff that I've seen him in, he plays like mousy, nerdy kind of characters, and then he goes out and gets drunk and beats people up. It's like,
well, kind of like, was it Fantastic Creatures, right?
Yeah,
he's in that one too.
Yeah,
and yeah, he plays mousy, and then he goes out and kills people.
So I wonder if there's like,
or we need to talk about Kevin, the sociopath who shot up his own school at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's a trend.
So
Maybe.
it's always a Kevin.
So and then the other thing is, I do find it interesting where like this, and I get what you're saying. Like he's got a problem, he needs help, and instead of just rewarding him with more roles, he should get help and then maybe get back into the whole guy. But if you go back 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, before social media existed, I'm sure stuff like this happened all the time, but you rarely heard about it, or when you did hear about it, you didn't hear the audience reaction, because that's what we get on social media.
True.
Right. So there wasn't an uproar of like, oh, he got to, end his career kind of thing. I mean, Hugh Grant was caught soliciting prostitutes and that was on the news, and it didn't end his career.
Wasn't Pee Wee Herman jerking off in a theater?
Yes. Yep.
In an adult theater.
In an adult theater.
Oh, okay, well, I guess that makes sense.
It was still indecent exposure. Yeah,
it's fine. It's a misdemeanor.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Right.
He was he did a kids show. He
did a kids show. Kids love it. They love playing with toys.
But I'm saying like stuff like that happened all the time, and it didn't always end people's careers. Where now it's like
I'm trying to think of a movie that had Pee Wee Herman after that.
I believe Batman
he's
Returns.
been in a lot. He's been in.
I believe Batman Returns came out after that. I could be wrong.
Okay, that makes more. Well, that's Tim Burton. He's also not in all the way there either.
Yeah, I mean he's been in a few things. So
yeah.
So what I want to know is, with this troublemaker that we have to deal with, why are we even bothering anymore? We have a Flash. We have Grant Gustin. We have a Flash who's done well for the last 10 years now.
And people love him.
Love him. Give him one big movie to end the Flash series, and we'll never touch Flash again. Or end it in a way that it's so big and so awesome, brings all back the characters that we lost in the seasons and the series, and we pass the mantle down to Wally. So now we have a Black Flash, and everyone's happy, and then we have a new character, and you can do all the cool things with him.
That makes sense, just for the fact that Warner Brothers and DC have come out and said, like, we don't want to try to do a connected universe anymore. Like, they're all going to be standalone films. And then we got the Batman. So it's like, okay, then just do a Flash movie. Just do a Flash movie that doesn't involve anyone else. You could recast them or bring Grant Gustin in. But
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't understand. There has to have been ironclad contracts that were involved with this movie that it had to be made, or they would end up losing money. So it's the only reason I think it's coming out. Well, next year, apparently.
Eventually, right? Eventually it's coming out.
They keep they keep putting it off, where probably should have put it out before this happened.
It's like, you gotta change things.
But the thing is, why do they keep pushing it off, right? Like, what's the deal? Because it's not the pandemic anymore. Like, nobody's even really talking about that, even though there's a new strain of Omicron. But like, I mean, why did they do that? There's like nothing. There's nothing else.
Right. I mean, as far as everyone knows, that movie's done. So like,
I honestly thought I think they thought the Batman was going to fail. Like, they were like, the Batman, we expected this much money from the Batman, just enough from the name alone. And we ended up with 3 times as much. And we're like, oh no, we have to continue what we were doing with this Batman now. And it changes everything. So it's like,
So you think they wanted breathing room between the movies?
Maybe. Like I feel like having this Juggernaut come out and then having the Flash or like something like come out right away afterwards was either
with a different Batman too.
Yeah, with a different Batman. It's like, why did you guys use Pattinson? Like,
well, maybe that's it. Maybe they do reshoots and they put Patterson in.
Or give people enough time to forget about this movie, or at least buy it on Blu-ray first and then go see that old movie, old Batman.
Reshoots are going to be hard with Miller in jail.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll use Grant's stunt double, whatever. They're about the same height.
That's why it must be just really stupid contract crap why they don't use Grant Gustin.
I guess
everybody loves him. He would be a box office draw. He would have a guaranteed following going to see that movie. Like, unlike anything else that they've got right now.
I was like, if you brought back Stephen Amell as the Green Arrow in your DC universe,
yeah,
I think you would have people like show up like, what is happening? He's back, guys. He's back for 2 more movies. We're gonna have a Green Arrow movie, and he's gonna be with what's her face from Black Canary and the Harley Quinn, and the Harley Quinn takes over this movie because she's Harley Quinn or whatever. And
well, you could have, if you're gonna bring back people from the Arrow universe, bring back Brandon Routh. He could play Superman, a version of Superman, because everything is on the table. It's Flashpoint. He could play a version of Superman and the Atom.
He did a really good job of that Superman too in the Crisis. I was like, you are Superman, man. I'm sorry we messed with you. I'm sorry we just like
was a lousy
whatever. But like, creeping on your ex outside of her window with the X-ray vision, that's gross. Come on, don't do that.
A little bit.
That version of Lois Lane was not really,
Yeah, like it's not the greatest.
That was Lois Lane when she was 18. That was not Lois Lane who should have, like, I don't know.
All right. Speaking of creepy things and stuff that's not appropriate for children, you guys have Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, we do.
and of course, they put the Netflix shows on, added a new layer of adult rating. So by default, you're set to TV 14. If you want full access, you've got to, change your settings and everything, which means they have TVMA stuff on there.
Ooh.
And it just came out that apparently they edited stuff out of Falcon and the Winter Soldier due to graphic violence, in their opinion, and now they're going to put that back in.
Yeah, well, and just before the mob with pitchforks and torches stormed their corporate offices. It was a mistake.
I have a question about this, and in all seriousness, if you still are set like, I want the TV 14 version, I don't want to see anything too graphic, do they still give you the edited version? And then if you put the TVMA, unlock that on your account, does it give you the unedited version? Or do they just put one version on and block it if you don't have that? I don't know.
I mean, it would make sense. I feel like that was the reason why to have it. It's like if you have a filter that blocks all these shows, but it was there beforehand, it was like, and now it's like because of this line that we've created of like graphic, not so graphic, then we have to like make it so that the ratings people are happy, so that there's less blood or less violence.
That's a bad road to go down. If they're going to take something, make a TVMA, and then decide, well, if they turn off the TVMA part of Disney Plus and move down to just PG, that you'll see a different version of the movie with stuff taken. Then, well, how many different versions you get? We already know that doesn't work because like the director has already made decisions about why there's blood in the certain, like it could be like pivotal. You're not going to be able to just turn it on. I mean, they'll make it so you can turn it on, off, but we already know what happens when you edit a movie down like that, because that's what happens with TV movies. When they take a movie, they edit out all the bad words and put it on like,
which leads to like the more like the beautiful like makeup, like yippee-ki-yay, flick and flacker, like
right. I know,
and
right?
like those people still remember those TV movie like mashup things to like cover up they can't say that on TV. And like I feel like because TV doesn't exist anymore, now having this option on streaming, creating these TV movie versions of more violent crimes that you can see if your mom leaves the code lying around, then sure, like you can do stuff like that. But I mean, it more about censorship than anything else, where it's like, I created this thing, but we have to change it because kids might watch this thing. But we have it, put it over there in the dark section where no one can touch it. But but we want to show Jessica Jones in this episode, and we can't have where does she come from? Well, go see that scene where her and Luke Cage just go blasting each other. Like, sorry, kid, you can't watch that one. But here's a picture of a butterfly.
I give you one of the memes related to this. I can't stand these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday planes.
That's premium writing right there.
I know, right?
That's Sorkin level writing right there.
You know what it is, right? You know what that?
Yeah.
That's what he said on broadcast TV.
That's chef's kiss right there. Oh, it's the best.
And of course,
writing.
And of course, they didn't match his lip flaps to what the dubbing, like any really good spaghetti western.
I mean, like I said, I feel like creating content that you want to get as many eyeballs as possible on it, and then having two different versions so that you can do that. Where it's like, I don't want my kids to watch this too much.
So,
like, well, let's watch this version. Yeah. And if they're old enough, watch the version that there's like we made originally. It's up to you.
So that in the TV 14 version of Jessica Jones, or was it Luke Cage? I think it was Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones.
They cuddle in bed instead.
They could probably just like
they're just cuddling.
She goes for a drink. They just show the bedpost like pounding onto like the wall and then just snapping in half, and then cut to the end of that scene. That's it. I've just written one little scene. You don't have to like do much to like make that happen, and you could cut that whole scene out. That's the only sex in that episode.
It is.
But the thing is, again, like it's just gonna be. They're just going to make they're going to make more versions for different levels. They're just I don't know. It's not a good road to go down. It's just going to lead to confusion and, people remembering stuff differently and probably destroying some of the actual plots of some of the movies because they rely on the fact that there's some shock value to blood or gore or sex or whatever. And that's like part of the storyline. I mean,
that's funny because we're going to talk a lot about that. And when we get to the Morbius part of this episode,
anyway, so
like, I see where you're coming from, but yeah, I think having options creates more traction more than anything else. And that's my thing. Where it's like, yeah, I don't mind it. And honestly, it's like the lie, like, no, it was just a goof. We made it and it's right back to where it was. And I was like, you're $1 billion company. You don't make goofs like this. You make them and then here, try this out. Oh, you didn't like that? Take it away.
Yeah, I just don't want to sit there watching a movie and wondering if I'm seeing the good version, right?
Yeah. You could always pay extra.
Yeah, but that's the thing. How do you know? Like, it's going to be some of these, they don't have really good controls on some of these streaming services. So how do you know? You might watch the wrong one by accident. And then people are like, did you see that scene where the guy's throat got ripped out? I'm like, why?
Wasn't there a TV show that did that like had 3 different endings and played it at 3 different stations and like no one knew what the real ending was?
I don't know.
I feel like that would actually happen in real life. Like,
it feels like something that would have happened.
Like somebody with like a major TV show, like was it LA Law? LA Law ended with 3 different season finales and no one knew which one was the real one because they aired all 3 of them at 3 different time zones. And it's like, they were all like, so when you watch the East Coast versus the West Coast version, you got totally different versions and you didn't know what was the ending.
Brilliant.
That is brilliant. And you know what? We haven't even touched on the gem that is Deadpool and Deadpool 2. Like, where are they going to end up? Now that they're a little bit more than TVMA, but Disney owns them now because they own Fox. That and Logan, so it's like
there's stuff like that where you can't change it without like destroying. Yeah, I mean, what part do you cut out? Like, it's
I think
almost everything.
The whole issue is that like Disney we're going to get into the streaming service, and then they went, okay, we're going to buy Fox because they have content we want to put on our streaming platform to bring in more customers. Right. Well, now you have all like the Marvel fans that go, okay, but to us, now that you own the X-Men movies and the Deadpool movies and all that, we want it all in one place.
And also now you can bring in like Starship Troopers on a Disney Plus because it's a Touchstone Pictures, and you have a whole catalog of movies you can't touch or you have to give to Hulu. And it's like, why? Well, we have our own streaming platform now. We could just cycle these in every once in a while.
I have 2 when you only need 1.
We only need 1.
I mean, I think they missed the boat. They maybe should have done, Disney All Access and Disney Family or something, and anything that was questionable go on a Disney All Access, with everything else. But yeah.
I mean, no one seems to have these issues with Hulu. Like, why? What's the big deal?
Exactly.
It's like, is it just because the name Disney is like?
There are people that have kids that have HBO Max, and I'm sure they make sure they're not watching anything they're not supposed to.
I haven't seen anything really gross on HBO Max.
There's one small component of this that kind of fits into the missing parts of the puzzle, which is Disney is the single company that is driving copyright for most of the planet right now.
True.
Yep.
And if they do anything on Disney Plus to rile the religious right in Congress, that would put that ability for them to go, every time the copyright for the mouse for Mickey Mouse, is almost up, that would jeopardize their ability to go into Congress and say, hey, we need the laws to be extended more.
I don't think.
I don't know. That's $5 billion speaks loudly. Like, it's like,
yeah, exactly. That feels like a string on the wall conspiracy theory. Like they're getting enough money. That's why do you think they keep getting the copyright renewed for Mickey Mouse? That has nothing to do with.
That's why there's a new Mickey Mouse cartoon every other week where it's like, we already had the clubhouse. Why does he need another ship making thingamajigger?
But
they're getting their pockets lined.
It also depends on what side you're on. Like the people they're giving the money to are the people in Congress that hold that that religious right viewpoint. And if you piss them off, the money might not be enough, or they might pay more.
I really don't think
the ability to do something.
I don't think that's something that's going to piss them off, having an R-rated movie on Disney Plus. I don't think they care about that.
If they don't care about it, why?
If they're that religious, they're not watching Disney at all. Period.
Right.
Yeah, they're on Hallmark.
But if that's not a problem,
exactly.
Why did they
freeform?
If that's not a problem, why did they go through all the trouble of digitally redoing some of those scenes?
It's family. It's because Disney has always been a family-friendly brand. And,
which is why Touchstone exists, so they can create Disney-based products.
The whole idea is to have. It's just about mass appeal. They want to make sure they retain mass appeal. They don't care about pissing off the people in Congress. They care about pissing off people that own Disney and their kid accidentally watches Logan kill somebody and there's blood splurting everywhere. That's what they care about.
Yeah, because that's what Wolverine's known for, is lightly tapping people on their face.
No, but I'm saying that's why they own the movie Logan now, but they're not going to put it on there because of it's R-rated. That's all I'm just getting at.
There's a bunch of other Fox movies. I'm sure there are worse. Like what other 20th century Fox movies that are just
Deadpool and Deadpool 2. I mean, the tiny dick jokes in Deadpool 2 will not fly on Disney Plus.
But Free Guy's okay. It's
Free Guy's not that. There's nothing really that bad.
There's nothing bad about it. It's just you're just beating people up. He gets hit with it like that.
Well, they can do that because it's in the auspices of a video game.
No penis. Oh yeah.
There are no penis jokes in Free Guy. That's
Yeah. They use kind of the same.
There's a few, but they're real subtle.
They can use the same rules that American animation does. If they're not humans, if they're robots, you can do whatever you want to them, cut them to pieces. If you're in technically a video game, then the violence can be kind of excused. It's just, the censors in America are weird.
That's dark.
You know who else?
They don't feel feelings. Just cut their heads off. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who else is weird?
True. That's how they get.
What is it?
The critics are weird, and we'll get to that in a second. But first, we're going to take our second commercial break, and we'll be right back with our main topic.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Sometimes you got to land the plane. All right, we are back.
But you're right about Disney Plus.
And of course, we're going to talk about the new mega hit to hit the theaters this weekend. The new Marvel movie, Morbius. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. No, wait. No.
It sound like that.
All right. Before we get into it, a couple of facts about this movie. Number one, box office, domestically 39 million, international 44.9. Total is 84 million. It had a budget of 75. We're also recording this on Sunday, so we don't have the Sunday numbers yet. So they made their money back. I found this interesting. Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter, 17%. Total flip audience score, 70%.
That makes sense.
We're going to get into that.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
And then, of course, we did a Twitter poll for our fans to weigh in on the show.
Was it just me?
And I will admit I did this kind of late. I thought about it this afternoon and did put it up real quick. So we didn't get a lot of votes, but of course we said, what did you guys think of Morbius? And I gave 4 options. It was great. It was meh. It was bad. And why did they make this? The top answer, of course, was it was meh at 47%, followed by why did they make this at 26.3%? Then it was bad at 15%. And then it was great at 10.5%. And we got a couple of comments here. Drew C said, I didn't go to the theater to see Spider-Man No Way Home, so there's no way I'm going to this. Also, I'm hopeful if I ignore it, it won't make it into the MCU.
Oh man, no.
We got bad news for you, Drew. All right.
You gotta risk COVID to go see Spider-Man in theaters, bro. Okay.
Our good friend 8-Bit Ray from the Gorilla Brain podcast said, this is not a take my money film.
That's fair.
And handsome Dan Lopez said, nothing between great and meh. It was either of those, but I enjoyed it. I think he meant it was neither of those, but I enjoyed it. So there we go. That is the prevailing opinions. All right. Let's go around the room, give our initial non-spoiler reactions. And we'll start with our good friend and guest, Randy.
Are we doing the one word thing, or are we just doing like
no? That's Montego. That's Montego's thing. All
right.
That's
Montego's thing.
That's Fans on Patrol. No.
Fans on Patrol. Okay.
What were you thinking when you came out of the theater? No spoilers though.
When I was thinking when I came out of the theater was I need to talk to someone else about this because I don't know where I'm landing. Like I walked around my car for like 10 minutes and I was like, I don't know. I don't know where I am. Like,
you sure you didn't smoke something when you?
No, I have bad reactions to that stuff. But it's like I was like, yeah, okay, I guess it's a movie. They made a movie. We had a movie done.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I
was like, I don't like, and I just started talking on the Twitter on my own, and I was like, all right. I'm not going to endorse you guys go see this movie, but I mean, there are worse movies. And then like every time I got to be that guy, I was like, I come from a cult film podcast, which means we watch terrible movies. So the worst movie you've ever seen, I've watched it and saw something that was 3 times as worse than that one. So it was like
skewed.
So I was like, when you see like this movie's terrible, I'm like, yeah, but it ain't Luther the Geek. So it's like, okay, it ain't Birdemic, it ain't The Room, it's not, they're worse movies in the universe. But the problem is that is a terrible terrible benchmark where it's like, it's not a shit sandwich, but it's like, but at least it's edible. Like it's Taco Bell.
John, what about you?
Okay, so no spoilers, but this ended much faster than I thought. I feel like it's missing an entire act somewhere between 1 and 3.
Yep.
And what they did at the end, and we'll talk about the after credit scene, I think pissed me off. Literally pissed me off. But as far as the movie itself is concerned, beyond that, yeah, I completely agree with you. They made a movie.
We're done.
It's got actors. It's got dialogue. They did the CGIs, and it was on a screen. That was about it.
It made we did the thing. It did a thing, and it's on a thing. Like whatever.
Yeah. So that's it.
That's it. We're done. We're done. We're done talking about it.
It's really hard to say anything more about.
Yeah, no, we're going to talk about the things that upset me the most. But
yes, we'll talk about that.
All right, so as soon as the movie ended, Karen turned to me and go, "Why do so many people hate this movie that haven't even seen it?" That too. I didn't get it.
That was where the talk was like, I need to talk to somebody else because I feel like I missed something.
Her asking me that question made me sit there for a long time going, how do I feel about this movie?
Yeah, so Dave,
I went in expecting to hate it, and I don't hate it, but I don't love it either.
I'm constantly seeing reviews that are saying this is the MCU has a new worst movie. Marvel has a new worst movie. It's like,
No. It's definitely
Eternals
better than
sucked worse
fan. It's definitely better than Fan Four Stick.
and Eternals. It's better than Eternals, I'd say.
Actually, you know what? Yes. I will agree with that one. I got out of Eternals. I was like, this was not a good idea. I mean, it was an idea, but it was not a good idea. There was no way Eternals was going to be a good idea because it was so obscure and it was not fun to watch. And so, like, what the hell are you doing?
And it should have, but it has the same blandness as Thor: Dark World.
Yes.
Like that should have been exciting. It wasn't. It was kind of bland. The bad guy was kind of like, okay, so generic bad guy saying generic. It was kind of like that,
I hate Natalie Portman.
So I agree with John. It feels like something got lost in editing, and the after credit scenes. The after credit scenes made me like, why? Like this? What is Sony doing? This makes no sense. And we'll get into that.
All right.
So I guess what we're saying to those listening, if you haven't seen the movie yet and you're not sure, all we can say is go see it and make up your own mind because we're all confused still.
Or wait until it comes out on digital, then watch it. Or you yo ho ho in a bottle of rum, my
there you go. But
I'm sure that's what Joey's doing.
But
all
it's
right.
not as bad as everybody says. It's not like the worst movie you've ever seen. And even it's just not. It's I don't
like
all right.
Because honestly, I think I would enjoy it better had I not paid to watch it. That's what I'm like.
All right. So now we're going to get into spoilers. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, you can get out now. If you don't care, here we go. So what I want to say about editing, the thing that bugs me the most in this movie is you get Matt Smith to play the villain.
Who was awesome.
I love Matt Smith. No.
Who is such a good actor and ends up feeling like a generic villain by the end of the movie. And it was like, I feel like there was something missing from his story to make us like empathize with him a little more. Like it feels like a lot of his backstory was cut out. Otherwise, he's just a mustache twirler by the end, and it's just like, yeah.
It felt, well, like I said, it felt like there was a missing act. Like it didn't. Yeah, you're right. Like they're missing scenes to give him more of a transition from best friend of the hero to arch villain of the hero. Like it was just too quick. Everything.
Right.
And I'm telling you, it got to the end. The credit came up. I'm like, wait, whoa, that's it. So like, yeah, it feels like there's a lot of this that got either it never existed or there's a lot of this story that's sitting on the cutting room floor.
That's
and Matt Smith is good. He really tried. He's got a hell of a personality.
He's the only one having fun in this movie.
Yes.
Like everyone else is kind of just like, I'm here, we're doing a thing, brah, vampire. And it's like, no, he's like, I am the vampire god now.
Yep.
And I'm going to eat everyone and it's going to be delicious.
Well,
like,
except for Jared Leto, he was actually his character because he's a method actor. But he was, it's kind of funny. Like Jared Leto was so low key during most of this movie. Normally he's the bombastic guy,
right,
and just so people know who aren't maybe aware, that's a character, Milo, that was created for this movie. Like he's not a character from the comics.
Because they had to have a character with the same a bad guy with the same powers as the
right. And I will say
Marvel plot standard Marvel.
I was about to say this in a lot of ways feels like an early MCU movie. The villain mirrors the bad guy, generic bad guy that mirrors or that has a connection to the hero. Like that's Iron Man, that's Thor, that's like all the early MCU movies. This is definitely feels like that, which that's not a bad thing. Those are some good movies.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not. It's just like
but like there's a part of me that kind of feels like Matt Smith made a whole bunch of vampire underlings, and we never got to see that bit. And it's like now so that we can save it for the end. Or like, oh, she's alive because she's a vampire. But it's like, I honestly, where was his army? I wanted because I wanted Blade 2. That's what I wanted. I wanted the bad vampire to be like, oh no, we have to stop him and all the vampires to show up.
Well, they're not even real vampires, right? Like he's the living they call him the living vampire. It's only because he shares some characteristics with real vampires, which we know exist because Blade. But like they aren't real vampires. So is it canon in Marvel Comics that he could make more of himself? That Morbius could
Not that I could think of.
This is not a character I'm well versed in at all. So
Yeah,
I mean, I have the first issue with Morbius, which is Spider-Man 101, and he was just a generic vampire at the beginning, and then slowly the character developed. They made him a foil for Blade. They reused him as a foil for Blade, and then they developed his backstory more, where he's a scientist who had a blood disorder and trying to find a cure. That's what turned him into a vampire. So like it developed over time, and he did have his own title for a while, but I never read his solo book. I only read the stuff that like the Blade and the Spider-Man books that he's in. So I don't remember him ever having that power to create other vampires.
Now that storyline was like the only thing I knew from the Spider-Man animated series in the 90s. And that's the only exposure to Morbius I had, was like the guy who'd suck people's blood with his hands because the guy didn't want to like have fangs or something. Like,
hold on. And it wasn't blood, it was plasma.
It was plasma
in the cartoon.
Plasma in the cartoon. I was like, all right, well, that seems really lame. But that guy was insufferable. And I was like, okay, at least Jared Leto's not that guy who's like, oh, blood, come to suck your blood. And
I want to say that too. I went in wanting to hate him because of the Joker, and I thought he did a really good job in this movie. I did not hate him.
I'll say this: if you go into that movie and you close your eyes and you listen to the soundtrack, all I could say is these Batman movies are getting really weird.
Okay, I thought I was the only one who heard the Batman Begins theme playing in the background.
It was the exact same.
I was like,
the exact same score.
Because you're like, dum, like, yeah. What is the tumbler coming down the street? What is going on?
No, it's Zimmer. On Zimmer coming down the street. That's the sound his car makes.
That's all he has is giant horns. Get out of the way!
Oh my god!
No, but it was exactly the same soundtrack and everything. I mean, just
it really was. I was like, okay, so you're doing a Batman thing, and like we're just not calling it that.
Oh, look, it's Man-Bat. I mean, Batman. I mean, whatever.
Morbius.
Yeah, and the other thing. Oh, what was the other thing? Like, they missed. Okay, so the whole point of Morbius, like with his developed character, is that he's supposed to be a kind of a tragic anti-hero, right? He has to drink blood. He has to deal with like the fact that he may have to kill people to survive, right? In this movie, they just sidestepped that whole thing. He not once ever actually went after somebody else, except for the guys on the boat, but they were shooting at him. So like, but it was never like he was in a battle, got damaged, was in a back alley. There's a junkie on the street, in the back alley, and like, do I bite him or do I die? Like,
right.
There was they never gave him a moral.
I'll say that
morality.
That's a misstep in this movie where he comes back and like they do a montage where he's figuring out all his powers and that he has 6 hours in between drinking blood or the artificial blood. Right. Where if they had shown him trying to live with it for a little bit and figuring this stuff out and had a scene like that where like he could feel the hunger and like tempted to like suck someone's blood, like that would have been cool. Like, and that would have made you feel for the character more, where it was kind of like, okay, we'll just do this real quick so we can get this movie done and over with.
This movie is entirely too bright. The other thing was about like this movie needed to be a horror movie, and it wasn't. It was a superhero movie with horror aspects, and it like the one scene that I felt that everyone really enjoyed was that nurse scene in the hospital, where it was like and it was exactly like a horror film, and I was like, this should have been the whole movie, where it's like we don't know. It's a Jekyll and Hyde thing. He's so desperate to figure this thing out, but he also wants to like he fall asleep, wake up, and he's like hungry for blood again, and like, or like, wow, what happened? Like, it feels like there was parts missing, and their tone of it needed to be more violent and darker. It needed. I don't want to be the DC guy. I'm like, it needs to be dark and gritty. But like, no,
it's true. But
it needs to be a horror film, though. Like, yeah, I wanted to be scared of this character, but then have him be that hero at the end, where it's like, okay, there are like, so that way he is that character where he's a vampire, but he's also a good guy. Because Blade has that. Blade has a lot of the horror aspects where he's like, I don't want to be anybody's friend. I need this serum to live. And it's like, and he's always angry.
I was thinking that too, because even like the scene on the boat where he's killing all the mercenaries in the beginning of the movie, and there's a scene where like the last mercenary is there and he's like looking up and looking around, and you see Morbius's arms come down, where if you didn't see that and all of a sudden he just jumped out, like you had a warning that the jump scare was coming.
Yeah.
Like, but if they didn't have that warning, like, I think it would have been a better scene.
Like if it was just flashlights and darkness and you're just looking around like, where is it? Where's it coming from? And then you see that face and then you cut away and it's like, oh, what the hell was that?
Yeah, like they needed to steer into the horror a little bit more. I think it would have made a better movie.
And the morality play. Like they could have had that last guy going, drop his weapon and go, I've got kids or something. And, Morbius, that would have given Morbius a little bit, a lot more of a moral quandary. Because, when even if it was his first time, he's killed he killed somebody who was unarmed and was begging for his life. Like, give him something to he's always brooding this entire movie about, oh God, I'm such a bad person. It's like, you haven't done anything bad yet.
Well, and I'm going to say this.
Done anything.
I'm going to say this too, and it's one of the things like bugged me a little bit. And I'm not saying I sympathize with mercenaries, but like he kills all the guys on the boat, and even the cops or FBI agents are like, oh, well, we don't care about the mercenaries, but that nurse, you killed that nurse, and we're upset. And it was just like, wait a minute, so.
You've gone too far. You killed an innocent.
And even the bad guy was like, oh no, I killed the nurse. Don't worry about it. It's like, well, why did you tell him? Like, I thought you wanted to torture him or, make him go with you. The way to make him go with you is to give him a push down that
okay. And I will say that. I will say that too. That was one of the things that was most confusing was like, he kept trying to convince him to join him. Matt Smith kept trying to convince him to join him, but then kept attacking him and kept doing like evil things in front of him. And it's like, wait a minute, like what's going on here?
Yeah, there was no Interview with the Vampire in any of this. Like,
yes.
So isn't it cool? Isn't it awesome being with this power? There's a ability to live forever now, and it's like, come on, look at what we can do. And that should have been the movie rather than like, oh well, here's some blood. I hope you feel better. And I left my cane on purpose, like to tell you that I took the serum and you're gonna rot in here now. So whatever, like.
Right.
That was dumb. I'm like, why did you leave this here?
Yeah, it goes back to what you guys said. It's like they took what should have been a horror movie and they stuffed a standard superhero movie into it and then cut pieces off on both ends.
Yeah.
So, but and again, like Jared Harris as Emil Nicholas, he was good. They wasted him completely.
I wrote that down too. I was like, where did he go during all this?
Yeah. Al Madrigal as the Agent Rodriguez, they wasted him. He's got comedic talent. They could have used him a lot to break tension if they had made it darker. Like just so much wasted talent here. I'm looking at,
Yeah, and it goes back to there feels like there was so much on the cutting room floor with this.
Wasn't his plan to kill himself after he got rid of Milo? So why is he still alive? Like, what was the point? What was the point of sticking around then? Like he had planned to kill Milo and then he killed himself. And I'm like, all right, mission done. Take your medicine.
Yeah. And again, like, okay, so all of the stuff that we've talked about is, there's problems with it. And it's kind of jarring in some places. But then there are parts, like you said, with the nurse scene in the dark hallway, in the scene where he learns to fly and all, just little.
I actually like those scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. There's little pieces in here that, you can see the good movie. It's just, it looks like they cut away part of it.
There was a part of me I really wanted a Daredevil tie-in with like him with the blue, like pushing out with the echolocation and then Matt with the red pushing in.
That would have been funny. That would have been awesome.
I hear something. So do I.
And I will say that like eventually it started getting a little over the top with the echolocation. Like he's searching out the entire city.
Yeah, that didn't
to
make
find
sense.
Like, that's not how echolocation works. Like
Matt Murdock does it. So I was like,
well, yeah, but Matt Murdock doesn't have echolocation. I mean, technically he does, but he hears everything. Whereas with Morbius, he's sending out a high-pitched signal that only he can hear, and then he measures
And
it
it-
when
and
it
it
bounces
bounces
back. He
back.
shouldn't be able to hear specific people he shouldn't. That's not how that works.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just, but then again, all of his powers were messed
It's all over the place. I was like, oh, so you fly with air currents or no? I was like, whatever. I don't care anymore.
Yeah. But
And then our
So-
big CGI fight at the end. This is another typical Marvel thing.
Yeah. I never. Well, like, do you want them to have just a conversation? Because that happens a lot on Supergirl, where it's like,
No.
it's like we save money by just having a talk. It's like,
did we miss so the first did we miss the act where I would have thought there would have been a scene where they would have fought and he would have lost, and then and then something happens and he has to deal with the fact that he's the monster, and does he have any right to
no, he learned how to
did we
fly right
miss-
after that fight.
Yeah, and then they went right into the fight. It's like we're missing something in between him gaining powers and learning how to use them and the final fight, where he never did anything wrong during that whole. There was no moral conflict, no nothing. It was just, I got powers. I'll take care of it later. Let me just go take care of this guy first.
And I have a question. Can you really use a counterfeiting lab as a biochem lab to?
Not really.
Sure.
Not quite.
I don't know. In the Marvel universe, there's got to be labs everywhere.
I didn't understand, why wasn't it a meth lab that he found? Why was it a counterfeiting lab?
There's just a mad scientist on every corner. That's the point where it's like,
That seems like a good spot to put in some AIM guys. Just some guys in some bio, like just some guys like just building stuff, and it's like, what? Did you hear something? I heard like a high pitched squeal. That's probably nothing.
But does Sony have? I mean, what does Sony still have rights to? Like, they still have rights to some Spider-Man stuff. But
Again, the scene when they're in the lab and they're working on that stuff, and the girlfriend, oh God, I can't think of the character's name.
The girlfriend, you mean Martine Bancroft
is feeding the cat, and she cuts her finger, and like Morbius,
oh, so hard.
Now that
put it away.
Right there, he could have flew against her, backed her up against a wall, and they could have made that pretty horror driven
or really sexual. But yeah, sure.
But
both, they're vampires.
What I'm saying, vampires. It was just
put them in the moonlight, have them sparkle. Sorry,
like they didn't sprinkle enough of that kind of stuff throughout the movie. Also, where like yeah, it made sense. He smelled the blood, but like, where was that anywhere else?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there wasn't enough development of his character or his motivation. It was just by the number this, and then they skipped like numbers 5 through 7 and went right to.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 104 minutes, an hour and 34 minutes. So no, that's not even an hour and 34.
No, I thought it was like hour and 44 minutes.
Hour and 44 minutes. Yeah. So I mean, that's another thing. We're so used to like 3 and 4 hour superhero movies now.
But they could have put another 20 minutes in and
easily
way more motivation.
I'd been okay with that. Just a little bit more. Just a bit more.
Yeah. And I feel like they wasted Matt Smith. Well, they wasted a lot of people. So
well, it's like, I feel like, I don't know why Marvel hates their Doctor Who characters, because it's like Thor: The Dark World didn't use Christopher Eccleston very well. Jessica Jones kills off David Tennant for no reason.
Well, he was a purple man. She had to.
I mean, yeah, he's a terrible human being, but you put him in a coma, we could use him for later. And it's like, yeah. And now Matt Smith is dead, so we can never use him again. Come on, these are good characters, right? I'm really good actors too, and I'm really disappointed that they ended up being like, you're here. Here's your stuff. Moving on.
All right.
I just realized you're right. They've killed off every Doctor.
Except for Peter Capaldi and then
Jodie Whittaker. Yeah,
Jodie Whittaker. They're the last two left. So stay away from the Marvel stuff.
Well, Tom Baker is still around, but he's way too old. Like,
he could play guys. He could play like a voice or something.
And Tom Baker and oh shoot,
Paul McGann. Paul McGann's still doing stuff.
Paul McGann and the other one too. The one that came after Baker. Shoot, what's his name?
Sylvester something or other. Forgot his name.
Sylvester. What is
like? It's an alliteration, like Sylvester Sylvesterson or something.
No, it was Peter Davis is still around.
Oh, okay, him too.
And
because like, what's his face? The Sylvester one. He was in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's true. No.
All right, let's get to the part that I think ticked all of us off. is the after credit scenes, and it's the first time I've ever seen like 2 after credit scenes that were tied together. Like, why not just show that as one whole scene? Why?
Yeah, 3 seconds, and then they start it up again. It's like
I don't understand this, and I don't get it, and I don't want to get it. I just
that was it. And those were
all right.
Those were pre-credit scene, right? Or mid-credit scene. Those were not after credit, like post credits, right?
Well, yeah, but like what is it?
Yeah, but
they're after the actors credits, so they're
and they didn't have confidence that people were going to stick all the way to the end.
I wouldn't.
Half the people in the audience, the only reason I knew I could leave was because I checked, but half the audience stayed where I was.
Oh, I wanted to ask this. How many people were in the theater when you guys saw it?
About 15, I'd say, maybe 20.
50, maybe 100. It was
yeah. Well, I'm out in Boondocks, so
it was like me.
15, 20 is probably.
We were in Germantown, which is a fairly populated area right next to Manioc, and it was me, my girlfriend, her son, and one other couple.
And that's it.
on a Saturday afternoon on opening weekend, and I was like, okay.
I saw a matinee, so 11:50 on Saturday.
This was 4:00, so.
Well, 4:00. No, you should have had a crowd.
It was an 8:00 showing at night on a Saturday, I think. Nope, it was Saturday.
All right, so we had the after credit scene. They show the crack in the sky, and all of a sudden, Adrian Toomes, played by Michael Keaton, appears in a jail cell in the Morbius universe.
That makes 0 sense.
What?
Which is also the Venom universe.
It's Sony just taking back their toys.
All right,
because they're
so let's discuss this right at the end of Let There Be Carnage. Venom somehow ends up in the MCU in New York.
Well, that makes sense.
Well, the Venom symbiote, yeah,
right.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Clintars are a multiversal hive mind. They would have known who Peter Parker was.
And then at the end of
fought them in other universes.
At the end of No Way Home, he ended up back in his universe, which almost felt like Sony went, "Here, have Venom, put him in the MCU." And Marvel went, "Nope, have him back in the Sonyverse."
I don't want it.
But they did leave it open because some of the some of the symbiote was left behind,
right?
So they can, which also again makes sense because the Clintars are multiversal kind of entity. So having a bit of that stay back is it kind of makes sense. But having Toomes go from the MCU to the Sonyverse, that makes no sense whatsoever. Like none of the rules apply.
Now, I mean, the only thing that should have happened to him is he forgot who Spider-Man is.
Right.
That's the only thing that's.
And the other thing that's weird is when in the second scene he's talking to Morbius. It's like, "Hi, I came to this universe. I think it has something to do with Spider-Man." Morbius didn't even blink, which means that there is a Spider-Man in this universe, and we have a Venom who
has nothing
became
to do
Venom,
with it.
had nothing to do with Spider. What the hell?
It's gonna be awesome.
I
can't wait to see Andrew Garfield come back as Spider-Man.
Sony's doing everything backwards. The only thing they could do to save it is put Andrew Garfield in. Like, I don't know what you feel. I think it would be okay. You know what the problem
there is stuff cut out of this movie because there's an image that went around for a long time.
Oh, with Spider-Man in the background
with murderer on the staple on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, and the problem being that even if they used Andrew Garfield with all the goodwill he has behind him right now, that takes writing. The writing in No Way Home was good, made him sympathetic, paid homage to his character, brought him into the fold. The writing that Sony's going to hire is going to turn it to shit. Like, I do not trust them. I do not trust them to continue on with his rehabilitation.
That is true. It's
because they're going to force a Sinister Six on him.
That's what they're doing.
We're already doing a Sinister Six. That's why we got the Vulture and Morbius.
That's why
Green Goblin's coming back.
Rules? Who needs rules? And it brought Toomes out of the MCU.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, he still belongs to us. We're just going to take him.
He fell into the multiverse crack that happened for a second there.
I mean, I kind of thought
by accident. Yeah.
I kind of thought with bringing all those villains in No Way Home, they kind of got their Sinister Six movie, but no, like
No. They've wanted to do this for so long. And they keep screwing it up somehow.
We're gonna force this thing. It's gonna happen. And you're gonna like it.
Yeah. This time it's gonna work. This time
For sure it's gonna work. We put all the things you like in the movie and blended it together. You like ice cream and tacos, right? Here comes an ice cream taco sundae.
Van Forstick was just misunderstood.
Put it in your mouth.
What do you think they said to Michael Keaton when they proposed this idea to him too?
Do you think he's happy with this?
It's like beep beep. What was that? The sound of the Brinks truck. Shut up and take this money.
Exactly. That's the only way, because I can't see that Michael Keaton's going to be very happy with this. Because
Michael Keaton's making out like gangbusters this year, or maybe next year when Flash comes out. Because it's like.
But the thing is, he went in for the writing. He liked the writing. It made him. He had a really complex character. They're not going to treat him like this in this universe. They're not.
Probably not. Yeah, I don't know.
He's like, I just want to keep making movies. I don't care what they're about.
And it also
that's Bruce Willis, but he can't do that. He can't get a buy on that anymore.
Like, it doesn't even make sense. I think we can do some good. Like,
yeah, what does that mean? What does it even mean?
So maybe they're going to be like heroes. So we're Sony's building their Sinister Six as an Avengers, and they're going to fight a big bad.
Like, why did he seek Morbius out? Like, it just makes
the Toomes character from the MCU. He wasn't like a villain. He was an entrepreneur. He sold weapons, like Tony Stark sold weapons.
He was providing for his family.
He was providing for his family. No more than that.
He was a sympathetic villain.
Yeah, because he was fighting against the big corporations. They took his livelihood away from him. So he did something about it. And yeah, he did the wrong thing. But
the government took it away.
Well, the government took away. Either way.
So he's going to take over the government here in this universe.
Through Tony Stark. He hated Tony Stark because they made the deal. The government made the deal with Stark Industries to do the reclamation, right? So yeah. But that's the thing. He was sympathetic. He had a complex backstory. He was trying to provide for his family. He had a moral compass. Granted, that was screw up, but he still had a code of honor. He was not going to tell anybody about Spider-Man, about Peter Parker, because he saved his family. That was his core. He doesn't have his family anymore in this. Did he just forget that he had a wife and kid? Now that he's in another universe?
That's what he's gonna try and go back.
That's what I would think. But how does he go back?
He talks to scientists.
Morbius. But Morbius isn't known for that. I mean,
and that's the other thing, right?
But Morbius is really smart. Like we know that he can build anything out of anything. Apparently, that's his gimmick.
Yeah.
So
that was another scene that was cut, because in the preview they show Adrian Toomes talking to Morbius in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It feels like there was a different plan for this, and then they made a bunch of changes in editing. I don't know. All right, so let's not beat a dead horse. Yeah, let's wrap this up. Give our final thoughts and a score of 1 through 10. Obviously, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. We won't do capes. We'll do fake vials of blood, or I'm sorry, artificial blood.
Or blue blood.
Blue blood. That's it. Blue blood.
Drink the blue blood of the rich. No.
And of course, Randy, you go first.
Let's go with 4. 4 seems.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 seems fair. 4 seems fair.
Okay. Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. See. About the movie or just in general?
About this movie.
About this movie? Sony needs to get its act together. Like it has rights. Either sell the rights or try to find better writers. That's the only thing I can think they can do right now, is like, because every time we have a Sony or like, who's doing the writing for Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse? Call those guys.
Yeah.
Have them write your stories for you and then make your live action crap. Because it's like, I feel like, because
those guys
go
really
to
care
Pixar
about
or DreamWorks, somebody who does good stories, and then give them shots to make news. Like, here's our toys, play with these toys, make us something cool. That's what we want.
Right.
We want cool things out of the characters that you have access to. It makes no sense. It's been a thing for years where like, those guys don't write these things. They write comic books or TV shows. And it's like, yeah, but those things are popular and they are engaging. So give them the shot to make movies that become popular and engaging.
By the way, one of the writers, Burke Sharpless, he's written Power Rangers, God in Egypt, The Last Witch Hunter, Dracula Untold.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh,
Yeah, it does.
Lost in Space, and that's it. That's literally it.
The Lost in Space with Joey.
Yeah, Gods of Egypt was a popcorn movie that was really cool. But Power Rangers, The Last Witch Hunter. The Last Witch Hunter was also a popcorn movie. Dracula Untold was horrible.
It's like you guys well, what do we have in the Walmart bin? All right, let's see.
Exactly.
Call this guy.
But
I'm sure he's cheap.
Interestingly enough, Matt Sazama, the other one, also wrote for Lost in Space. So the came. Actually, he's got the two of them wrote together apparently, because Gods in Egypt, The Last Witch Hunter, Dracula Untold. But oh no, he was in the editorial department for Master of Disguise.
All right, so since you've
never seen the Master of Disguise, oh my
that was bad. Dana Carvey.
I've seen the trailer. That's enough.
All right, John. Since you obviously have a lot more to say.
Go ahead, Jack.
What are your final thoughts on your score?
Tell us how you really feel.
I can't wait to see the Espinosa cut of this film when we find out that half of it was left on the cutting room floor. And I'm going to give this a 5 because it's just middle of the road, just like my feelings about this movie. It's like meh, I don't even know. My bar is, would I watch this if I was folding laundry? And I don't. Maybe if I noticed it too much, I don't even know if it's worth that for me at this point, because it's just at this point it's more annoying for all of the flaws in it than it is like it's still better than some of the other movies, and I have no idea why it's got such a bad rap. It's not as bad as they're saying, but
it ain't good either.
Yeah, it ain't good. So yeah, I'm giving it 5 Halloween fake vampire teeth. That's what I'm doing.
All right. I agree. I think there might have been a better movie there that ended up on the editing room floor. I don't hate this movie and I don't love this movie. And I think if there was nothing else on, I would watch this while folding laundry. But other than that, I don't think I would seek it out to watch it again. Will there be a sequel? It doesn't look that way because it's not making the kind of money that they would want a movie like this to make. So I'm going to agree with you too, John. It's 5. There isn't enough to make this a good movie, and there isn't enough to say this sucks. So it's right in the middle. It's a 5. So
by the way, perfect example of the difference between Sony trying to do Spider-Man stuff and Marvel doing Spider-Man stuff. This made how much domestically? You said like $30 million, $39 million. No Way Home just passed 800 million domestically, only domestically.
Right, exactly. That's a $1 billion movie. So, yep.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So I guess what we're saying is watch this at your own
to be
risk.
fair, if it's only about money, then Adam Sandler is the best actor in the universe.
It's true.
So just saying.
True.
If it's about money.
All right, let's wrap this up for the week, boys and girls. So Randy, you got any recommendations? And tell the good folks one more time where they can find Colt 45.
Sure. So I'm Randy Savage. You can find Colt 45 on all your podcatching apps. Right now, we are pushing the Head Nerds in Charge Con. We're actually going to Philadelphia in June 18th. That's right. I'm going to be close to you guys.
The day before my birthday.
The day before your birthday. So we'll just not be anywhere near you. But it's supposed to be really fun. It's me and Brandon are gonna go, and it's all about bringing Black creators and Black nerds in together, and we're just gonna try and build our own con. And it's gonna be video games and cosplay, and we're not doing anything. We're just going. We're just gonna be like those guys. They're like, oh, pictures and like taking things and like promoting it and like. But if you go to NIC or Head Nerds in Con on Instagram, you can sign up for the Kickstarter and help them out more, because I think they need more help. They have until April to like raise more funds, and I think, but they're still gonna have it one way or another. They're like, we're either gonna have a really cool con, or we're gonna have the greatest pizza party ever. So like whatever.
Which also makes for a good con. So
also makes for a good con. So, but yeah. Head Nerds in Charge is also a show that Brandon's on regularly, and I'm not because I have a terrible schedule. And it's always really funny. So check those guys out.
I think you guys should do it old school, or they should do it old school. Just take over a hotel, like the floor of the hotel, set up in between the hallways and everything. Do it old school.
There you go. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't cost much to rent out of like an exposition space anymore. Like,
nah, probably
somebody's got to pay for it. It's only like what, $10,000.
That's all.
That's all. That's nothing. That's chump change.
Okay, John, how about you?
I mean, I don't really have anything specific, but I'd say that Moon Knight has had a good start, and everybody should check that out.
Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I will recommend that you go to superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast every week. Links to all our social media at the top of the page, and comic book reviews by our good friend D Square. And my recommendation this week, boys and girls, is get caught up on Blade Trinity, because
oh God, no.
The Mid Madness Marathon begins next week. So
I'm sorry, Ray. I'll go back to my podcast of bad movies. You enjoy this one.
So until then, as always, thanks for listening, and don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.
Nice.